at the actual stats in terms of people who are doing most successful in this country, right, they're not British white people in terms of proportion. It is British Indians.
But no, who said that?
And the reason,
can you give me the stat for that?
The stats are so British.
That's actually incorrect.
That's not incorrect. That's not
completely incorrect.
If you do have a statistic, I've got the exact stats for you.
Right.
British Indians are in the most senior higher positions on
They're
a percentage
in
1%.
Even people of colour, including other Indians, have gotten sick of this woman's victimhood and obnoxious race baiting. This guy puts her in her place without ever rising to her rudeness. He lets her rant and rave and interrupt throughout the debate while calmly dismantling her with facts. The more facts she hears, the angrier she reacts. The aggressive tone in which she repeatedly calls him a liar just shows how obnoxious she is. Her whole argument is underpinned by her dislike of this country and white men in particular. How can anyone seriously believe hiring people based on skin colour alone is beneficial to a serious company? Yet according to her, it's a scientifically proven fact. We all know activists are using DEI to get rid of white men from the workplace. That's all this is about, and that is why she supports it. She moans about all the white CEOs. Why wouldn't most CEOs be white in a white majority country? White people make up the vast majority of the population in Britain, so it's no surprise. People of Chinese and Indian heritage, however, are killing it in Britain. I've spoken to someone of ethnic minority heritage who can't stand DEI. They said they just want to get on with their work and not be lectured in the office by some virtue signalling liberal about racism. Maybe that's why they are doing so well. Anyway, here's the debate. You may want to turn the volume down because this noxious woman is loud.
Incorrect. And I think there's a huge political agenda going on here with the Tory party to break down these diversity initiatives that actually have been proven worldwide, report after report after report, that they do work. Now, if they're not working, there's more to the subject here. It means that actually you've done, you've face value, you've got your diversity schemes in place, but actually have you got inclusion in place? For Kemi Badenoch to commission her own report to say that actually this is a waste of money. Why are diversity initiatives always first off the chopping block, that this is too much money? Without diversity, you have to remember organisations need diversity and inclusion schemes for many reasons. They've been proven to work, they improve financial, and you create a happier working place. And
we see so many statistics, don't we? And we were just a survey last year that more than a fifth of UK employees said that they had experienced discrimination in the workplace, and black employees were more than twice as likely to say that being passed over for a promotion. So Neil, surely then we need more diversity training.
No, I think the diversity schemes and quotas in general hold prejudice against people that essentially, for the fact that if you're a person of colour, a different skin colour, the concept that you can only get a job or you have to get something via a leg up through these quotas, through these schemes, I think is totally unfair. And I think it's actually degrading. It's degrading, and if you let me finish, it's degrading and patronising. Because the concept that somebody of colour needs to get a virtual signalling tool to get into a place is absolutely absurd.
They obviously do.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Because if you look at the statistics, if you let me finish, if you let me finish, you'll be able to see that they're not needed. So if we look at the actual stats in terms of people who are doing most successful in this country, right, they're not British white people in terms of proportion. It is British Indians.
But no, who said that?
And the reason,
can you give me the stat for that?
The stats are so British.
That's actually incorrect.
That's not incorrect. That's not
completely incorrect.
If you do have a
I've got the exact stats for you.
Right.
British Indians are in the most senior higher positions on a
percentage.
In percentage, in managerial positions they are higher. In professional experience they are higher.
That's a lie.
In professional, you can check it all up. It's all there.
These
stats are lying.
That's a lie.
And then if you let me carry on, because there's here we go, and here we can do more. Okay, here we can do more. So if we look at the predominantly in this country, who's suffering the most in this country? it is predominantly British white working class kids.
Can I go on
by far.
Can you let me quick? You're going on who's suffering, white working class men. If white working class men are suffering, that's to do with Tory policies, because middle class white men are certainly not at a disadvantage in any working place. And your statistics
they are at a disadvantage.
Middle class white men hold all the top positions in this country.
You're taking a
in all the top countries. 1 in 16 ethnic minorities. Sunil, you haven't let me finish, and you're lying.
Well, I do want to put to you as well.
Ethnic minorities.
One of the issues that was raised in this report, it was the case about the RAF. I'm sure you remember it from 2022.
Yes.
That it found to have unlawfully discriminated then, in that case, against white men in a recruitment drive aimed at boosting diversity. So I suppose then the point I suppose you're making here is that the pendulum is swinging too far the other way.
No, that's not correct. You've gone on one case, you've gone on the RAF, but actually if you look at all organisations, you do realise that organisations, they benefit from diversity initiatives, because actually 2/3 of UK employees have said that, especially Gen Z, they would never apply for an organisation unless they've got DEI initiatives in place. So actually they are beneficial. In the NHS, the biggest employer in this country, 77, nearly 80% of the employees of NHS are women. But guess how many women hold top positions in the NHS? 37%. You've got nearly 80% women, but only 37%. This isn't just about brown or black.
Should we also be concerned about the lack of spending? I mean, we saw in the case of Birmingham City Council, for example, there was a freedom of information request. 114 councils revealed what they'd spent on these sort of roles around equality, diversity, inclusion. Now, that worked out at £75,000 a year, all right? 0.02% of Birmingham City Council's budget was spent on these roles. 0.02%. In the grand scheme of things, that's a tiny, tiny amount. So surely we should be concerned about that.
We shouldn't be spending any penny on it.
You don't think we
shouldn't spend anything on it?
So therefore...
Let me finish, Narinder. Let me finish. Let me make my point. Don't just shout. So if you look at the percentage, I want to go back to... We want to go back to the white working class people, because that's what we want to talk about.
Boys. That's lack of funding in schools and lack of funding.
Please let me...
So if we look at white working class boys in this country, OK? Even just white working class in general, white working class students. So 82% of this country is white. I know that's not the case in London, Birmingham, Manchester, where many institutions do their studies, but the vast majority of the country is white. If we look at this fact, if we look at the stats, white boys do literacy rates are lower, numeracy rates are lower, and what that means, I'm not talking about funding because that's not a problem. That's not a problem in the British Asian community. That's not a problem in other communities. The reason is. So it translates, because if in education standards in the white working class are declining, they're less likely to get a professional job. If the vast majority of this country's standards are declining, then that is terrible for black, white and brown people, because what that will mean is if the majority of the country isn't improving their standards, it doesn't matter what your skin colour is.
We are running out of time.
It doesn't matter what your skin